I'd written to her, you see, and said we got the club meeting and we'd be happy, very pleased if she would come. And it was at the after the show party. I know I was talking to Judy about it, and I sort of tried to talk her into it, and she said yes, she thought she might come, you see. And then a few minutes later, when I was talking to Mark, oh yes, he said, we'll be there. So I think they really had decided, but she just wanted that little bit of extra, you know. Anyway, on the morning of the party, at the meeting rather, she was coming in the afternoon. Somebody said to me, you're wanted on the phone, and it was Mark, you see. And everybody in the room was standing there like this and waiting to see what was happening. And Mark said, Judy wants to talk to you, but he said, I don't know what she's going to say. So I thought, oh my God, you know, she's not going to come. And then she said, Lorna, I'm coming to the meeting, but she said, I've had a very bad night. So she said, I don't want to have to sign a lot of autographs. I want to just come and sit right down. I said, we've already arranged for you to do that. And of course I hung up, and of course I turned around, there were all these faces looking at me, and I said, it's all right, she's coming. And you could feel a whole sort of sigh of relief. But it was good of her to come, because Mark told me she had been literally physically sick all night. She hadn't had anything to eat that day. And she did arrive looking rather pale and wan, you know. But when she arrived, I went to greet her. And as we got to the door, I just put my hand under her. She got her hands in her coat pockets. I just put my hand under her elbow to guide her to the right door. And I felt this elbow was absolutely tight and taut. So, you know, she was absolutely as tight as a violin string, really. But then she walked into the room, and everybody behaved impeccably. Nobody moved out of their places, and they just stood and they applauded and applauded. And the Garland smile came back, and she relaxed, and she walked in as if she'd had no worries whatsoever. But of course she went in and greeted people, and it was William Earl who introduced her to his wife and said that his wife had just had appendicitis and shouldn't really be there, but she didn't want to miss the meeting. And Judy knew, I know just how you feel, because she said the same thing nearly happened to me. You know, she had this sort of friendly attitude straight away. And as soon as I sat her down with Lee and I ranged behind her so that she was buffeted, and then she had the Allen brothers with her as well as Mark. And I think she thoroughly enjoyed the afternoon. She sang. Nobody asked her to. Make someone happy, just make one person happy.
That's a lovely song.
Yeah, yeah. I spoke to her on the phone, that's right. This was the day she was going home. And I said, had she got the photographs? Oh, yes. I said, what do you think of me? Oh, she said, they were terrible. She said, I've torn them up. And she asked me not to put them in the magazine. I said to her, I thought it was because we weren't using a flashlight. We didn't want to bother her. So I thought it was the ceiling lights were casting shadows. And she said, well, I'm casting plenty of shadows today. She said, I looked at myself in the mirror at 6 o'clock this morning, and I said to myself, Judy, you've got to get on a plane at 6 o'clock this evening, so you better start putting your makeup on now. And I'm only halfway through. And this is what I'm talking to her about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I think it was. And I said, never mind, they won't recognise you at the airport. And I said, they'll probably think you're so-and-so. And she said, oh my God, I don't look that bad. Oh, and there was a bang outside. I think it was a car backfiring. My God, she said, someone's out to get us. She said, it's probably Sid Luft. You see, so Sid was never far away from her mind, really. That was 64, then 69, you see. He's never very far away.
At the Abbey Road studios, and I went along with my bunch of flowers to meet her. And when I got there, the commissioner said, now you stay out in the road. He said, Sonny, he said, if the car stops, you can speak to her, but not otherwise. And I drew back with my... And then when she arrived, she saw me and she said, stop the car. So he said, all right, you can come in. And shaking like a leaf, I told her that when I first saw The Wizard of Oz, I'd wanted to marry her and how many children we were going to have. And she was being hassled by these men because she was late, but she had eyes for me. Only I mattered. She grabbed hold of me as tight as can be, and she said, just you lot wait a moment. He's trying to tell me something. And knowing that she was late and she was in a hurry, but she was in no hurry to get rid of me, I said my piece, gave her the flowers. And as I was rounding the corner to St John's Wood Underground, across the night air she hollered, "Well, goodbye then," because I hadn't even said goodbye. And the link with Birmingham is that when I went down to meet, she did the concert in Birmingham, and I went down to meet Lorna Smith, whom I was expecting to see on that train. She wasn't on it, but Sid Luft was. And he recognised me as soon as he came through the barrier, and he said, "Oh," he said, "you don't know how much good you did Judy that day at the recording studios," which surprised me. He said, "Can I give you a lift across Birmingham?" I thought, I don't care where the taxi's going. I said, "Yes, please." And on the way, he said how Judy had appeared at the Olympia Paris the previous weekend, and she'd taken about 25 curtain calls, and that was the main conversation in the taxi. When we got to the hotel, he said, "Now be sure to come round and see her afterwards." The only time I ever got an invitation to go and see her, rather than waiting out in a street. And the show was it didn't begin quite as fanatically as the London shows, but it gradually worked up into fever pitch. And when she sang "It's a Great Day for the Irish," half the audience left their seats and marched down the aisle of the Odeon New Street singing it with her. Well, afterwards, I went round to the stage door, and about 50 fans had broken through the stage door and were trying to find her dressing room. The stage doorkeeper was tearing his hair out, and it was not in my nature to be pushy. I realised I'd lost the opportunity, so I left and set off for the station. And then I realised how desperately hungry I was, because I hadn't eaten since breakfast. I'd given the last of my money to buy flowers for Judy. All I had left in my pocket was a sixpenny bit. I put it in a chocolate machine. This is where you get out your violin. And it was a dud machine. It swallowed my sixpence and it didn't give me a bar of chocolate. So I went to the station, and then it was about 3 hours later when the train reached Paddington, because in those days Birmingham trains went to Paddington. I was setting off across the concourse. It was about a 9-mile walk home to my Auntie Kate's in Enfield. And all of a sudden I saw Judy wrapped in a blanket with Sid Luft coming towards me. And she gave me this big hug. And I remember saying, "Oh, when you sang 'It's a Great Day for the Irish,' it was just like in Little Nellie Kelly when you marched down Broadway with everyone singing it with her." At the time they'd rented Carol Reed's house in King's Road. So another hug, and I said goodnight. And my walk home took place high above the treetops. I completely forgot I was hungry. So that would have been the most wonderful meeting I ever had with her. It could have been more fantastic if the fans hadn't broken through the stage door, and it would have been lovely to have a little chat, well, having been invited. And that was 1960.